Hi everyone, welcome back to another English lesson. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we are going to talk about some prepositions. So you probably know about prepositions, but sometimes they're pretty difficult to know when to use the right one. So today we're going to focus on three prepositions: in, on, and at. In, on, at. But first, if you haven't already and you would like to, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You will know when new lessons are uploaded. Thank you so much to everyone who's subscribed so far. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers. That's awesome. Thanks so much. All right, let's jump into the lesson. So a good way to remember in, on, and at is by thinking of an upside down triangle, okay? So at the top of the triangle, we have the most general word, and that is in. So we use in when we talk about general things and bigger things. Now I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So we're going to break these into time and location, okay? Time and location. So when we use in, we can talk about general or big amounts of time. We can use in to talk about centuries, decades, years, months, weeks, and parts of the day. So let me give you an example of each one of those. For centuries, we could say, in the 1700s. For decades, we could say in the 90s. If we want to talk about a specific year, we can say in 2020, in 1998, in 1756. We also use in for months. So in July, in August. So we can also use it for weeks. In a week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks? How often do you study English in a week? So we can use in for the morning, the afternoon, the evening. We say in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. All right, now let's look at location. Remember, because we are at the top of our upside down pyramid, in is used for general places or bigger locations. When we use in for locations, we can use them with countries, cities, neighborhoods, and enclosed spaces. I'll give you an example for each one. Here's one for countries. In America, in the Philippines, in Japan. We always use in when we talk about countries. It's the same for cities. In Tokyo, in London, in New York. We never say at New York or on Tokyo. We always use in. Remember, we also use in for enclosed spaces. So an enclosed space could be your house, I'm in my house, or a car, I'm in my car. And finally, neighborhoods. We use in to talk about neighborhoods. For example, in Chinatown. In Chinatown, you can find a lot of delicious food. Okay, now we're moving on to the second part of our upside down triangle. The next word is on. On. On is a little more specific than in, and it's a little smaller. So please remember these two things. Let's talk about time first. We use on to talk about specific dates or holidays. On July 1st. On my birthday. On Christmas. We also use on for days of the week. On Monday, on Friday. And we use on for the weekend, on the weekend. So remember, we use in for weeks, in a week, in 2 weeks. But when we talk about a specific day of the week, or when we talk about the weekend, we always use on the weekend. We never say in the weekend or at the weekend. It's always on the weekend. Let's talk about locations using on. We can use on for streets, avenues, surfaces, a lot of transportation, and communication. Okay? Let's think about streets. We can say, I live on ABC Street. I live on ABC Street. We don't say I live in ABC Street. And we don't say I live at ABC Street. I live on ABC Street. It's the same with avenues. I live on 123 Avenue. And we also use on for a lot of transportation. Remember that I said we use in for enclosed spaces, and I mentioned in a car. We also can say in a taxi. Those are smaller modes of transportation that are enclosed. If we talk about bigger transportation, for example, a bus or a train, we are going to use on, okay? On a bus, on a train. All right, so in a car, in a taxi, on a bus, on an airplane, on a train, on a boat. Okay? So remember these differences. I know it kind of doesn't make sense, but remember, if you say on a car or on a taxi, it sounds like you are on top of it. For bigger transportation, on a bus, we understand that you are riding the bus. We also use on for surfaces. I put the cup on the table. I'm standing on the floor. And one of the most important ones is communications. We use on when we talk about communication. So let me explain a little bit about what that means. When I say communications, I mean things like the radio, the TV, the internet, and the phone, okay? We use on for these four. So I like this song on the radio. My favorite movie was on TV last night. I looked it up on the internet. I called my mom on the phone. For communications, we always use on. Okay, so now we are at the very bottom of our upside down triangle. And at the very bottom, we have the word at. Now, at is very specific and very small. Okay, let's take a look at time with at. So we use at for time and some parts of the day. Okay, let's take a look at these two. So when we talk about a specific time, for example, 8 o'clock, we would say at 8 o'clock. I wake up at 8 o'clock. Now let's look at parts of the day. So remember, we use in for in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. However, we can use at with parts of the day like noon, midnight, and night. So at noon, at midnight, at night. Okay, let's look at locations for at. This is very simple. We are going to use at for addresses and specific locations. So remember I said we can say, I live on ABC Street. But when we say a specific address, for example, I live at 123 ABC Street. That is a specific address. So we will use at. If you're just talking about the street or the avenue, use on. But when you're talking about a specific address, always use at. We also use at for specific locations. I'm at the store. I'm at the station. I'm at the front door. Okay, let's look back and review. So remember, in is the most general and the biggest. So we can say in a country, in Europe, in France. Then we get smaller. In Europe, on ABC Street. Then if you want to get very, very specific, we can say in Europe, on ABC Street, at 123 address. Okay, are you getting it? I'm going to give you your short quiz now. So, I'm going to give you a sentence. Please pick which preposition you should use. In, on, or at. Okay, ready? Let's go. He was born the 1800s. He was born the 1800s. Okay, the correct answer is in. He was born in the 1800s. What are you doing the weekend? What are you doing the weekend? The correct answer is on. What are you doing on the weekend? I always go to bed 8 o'clock. I always go to bed 8 o'clock. The answer is at. I always go to bed at 8 o'clock. I'm the park. I'm the park. The correct answer is at. I'm at the park. He lives Manhattan. He lives Manhattan. The correct answer is in. He lives in Manhattan. She got a taxi. She got a taxi. The correct answer is in. She got in a taxi. Please sit down the sofa. Please sit down the sofa. Okay, the correct answer is on. Please sit down on the sofa. My favorite show was TV last night. My favorite show was TV last night. The answer is on. My favorite show was on TV last night. Okay, this is the last question. See if you can get it right. I'm going to Hawaii, April. I'm going to Hawaii, April. Okay, the correct answer is in. I'm going to Hawaii in April. How did you do? Please write your results of this quiz in the comments below. I know that these prepositions can be a little bit tricky, but if you practice and review, you'll have no problem. So at the end of this lesson, I'll give you some homework questions. Please write your answers in the comments below and I will check them for you. Okay, please refer back to this video anytime you need to review. Good job, everyone. So I will see you in our next lesson. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.